Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here. Guys, this has been the hardest guest that I've ever had to track down in my life. He's canceled on me so many times because he's so big time. You know I had to give you shit. John Stark in the house. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing excellent. How are you? I'm glad you addressed it first because I was going to say it too. I'm glad we finally got this lined up.
Dude,
I got my dad downstairs watching my son. I've figured no way in hell am I canceling or changing this. I'm on solo dad duty until later this afternoon when my wife gets back from LA.
I love it. So the joys of being an entrepreneur, an investor, a business owner, and a new dad. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, sir, and we'll get started.
Okay. Well, I'm from Southern California, born and raised, LA area. I've been down in San Diego for just 10 years now. After graduating college, I moved to Las Vegas for a little bit, kind of check it off the bucket list, had some fun out there. But had a buddy of mine who was looking for a roommate down in San Diego. And at the time, being single and early 20s, I said, yeah, let's give San Diego a shot. And, 10 years later, here I am. So that's how I got to San Diego. I'm a commercial real estate broker as my day job, quote unquote. Got into multifamily investing a little over a year ago. I joined the Jake and Gino community, which has been awesome. One of the best investments I've made into myself. Started syndicated my first multifamily deal with my partner as a co-GP and also LP in the deal back in April. Got a couple more in the hopper and just really looking to scale and grow. So it's been great. Have a 1-year-old son. Which has been a change, total shift in lifestyle, but it's been awesome. Such a blessing. And that's in a nutshell. I've been in commercial real estate for about 4 years on the brokerage side, but a little over a year in multifamily investing. So it's been awesome. Got to network and grow and meet so many great people like yourself, which is it's been great. So yeah, I'm grateful to be here and grateful to be on the show. So thanks for having me.
Oh man, I love it. And before we get started on other stuff, there's a lot of courses out there. There's a lot of groups. There's a lot of all those things. What do you think it is about? Because everybody I meet just has the highest of praises. What are the aspects of the Jake and Gino community that really hit home for you that have given you what you need? Like, why do people keep being drawn to that community so much?
Well, there's a couple of different things, but I think most importantly, it's the networking and just the community, like networking and joining forces with people that have the same mindset and attitude and goals. And also a lot of people that have a lot more experience and are already doing what you want to do. I spent several months back and forth with Josh and Dylan, some of their sales guys on the education side. And I did all my due diligence. I mean, I looked up everything I could. I couldn't find one negative review about these guys. And, I've been listening to so many podcasts and reading books. And I just said, I need to take some massive action, which is, what they teach, taking massive action times education, you get the results. And so I spent about 3 or 4 months listening to their podcast. And I, finally just reached out and contacted them, and Josh gave me a call back, and we had several phone calls and, discussed my goals and aspirations and everything. And I just decided right around the time that COVID hit that this is a great time to hunker down and really focus on pursuing my dream. I mean, I can listen to books, I can read podcasts, but if I really want to take action steps towards getting where I want to be, then I have to do that, take massive action. And it was a good time for me. Brokerage was still good, still early on in it as a whole, as a newer career. I was in the restaurant, food and beverage, hospitality for way too long. But once I got into real estate, I quickly got the competitive edge and moved from wholesaling, fix and flip houses to investors into commercial real estate brokerage with Marcus and Millichap. Now at the firm that I'm at, I've been for about 2.5 years, but it's been great. And so, but brokerage is a transactional business, and equity is what really makes you wealthy. And so I've known ever since I got into commercial real estate that I want to be on the ownership side. I just didn't know how. like I said, you can listen to a Grant Cardone podcast till you're blue in the face for 3 years and not do anything about it and just, oh, that sounds nice, and goes in one ear, out the other. But I came across Jake and Gino through a similar podcast you may like from listening to Grant Cardone, started listening to them. And, at the end of their podcast, they have a little snippet or something that just says, reach out, see if we're a good fit to work together. And I thought, the wheels got spinning, and I said, this is something that I really want to do. I want to be a multifamily investor. I want to own and operate apartment complexes. And what better way than to invest in yourself and learn from people that are already doing it.
Yeah. And I think, it's interesting. And me and Anthony talk about this a lot. Ultimately, the information in a group like that is obviously very valuable, but I actually think the actual valuable piece is being able to network and operate and create partnerships with the people in the group. Because anybody that's willing to commit that kind of money and invest in themselves is people that you want to be in business with as well.
1,000%. I mean, a good percentage, unfortunately, will spend the money and think that it's a get rich quick thing, and, don't really have to do much work. And, they end up don't really doing much with it, which, that's neither here nor there. But for me, I knew that I have the goals and dreams and motivation and, hunger. I'm relentless to get what I want. And, so yeah, I figured take the jump. And, like you said too, there's the educational platform and the content, which is just phenomenal. It's great. But there's also the much more valuable piece, which is the networking. I met my now business partner through Jake and Gino. He's not a member, but a member of Jake and Gino, who we are in a smaller, what we call an accountability pod with. He's the one that introduced me to him. He said, hey, you're looking at Phoenix. I have a young hustler out there. He's killing it. Already done a couple of deals. You guys should meet. And before we got off the call, he had already sent an introductory email, and we hit it off, and we've been talking every day and underwriting deals and putting out offers. And, we closed our first one back in April of this year. So we're rocking and rolling.
Yeah. So let's walk us through that first deal, because you sure didn't buy a duplex. No. That's for damn sure. You went for it. Kind of walk us through what it was, how you found it, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another one of the benefits of partnership, is being able to leverage their experience and expertise. And my business partner has spent a lot of time in Phoenix. He's a retired professional ball player. So he was out in Phoenix for a long time, years and years doing spring training. And so once he got involved in another education course, and that's how he met my friend and Jake and Gino. So he spent a lot of time out in Phoenix. He has great broker relationships. And now also him being an owner in the market, he has great broker relationships. So fast forward, he had, a great relationship with these two brokers out there who do a lot of deals, and they brought it to us off market. Everything we've looked at from them has all been off market. And we have two more in the hopper that are pretty close to going under contract on. But yeah, so that one was an off market 28 unit deal in central Phoenix. And 28 units in Phoenix is a lot different price point than 28 units in Charlotte or Alabama. So yeah, it was a big one. It was a big raise. It was almost $3 million raise on the syndication side. But we were able to get it done. We had a long escrow, favorable terms, and raising capital and putting all those wheels in motion was definitely a fun experience too, a little bit stressful, but yeah, we got that one done. We closed in April, and we're renovating and repositioning the asset as we speak. We're close to being done with the first 10 units to release. So yeah, it's been great. It's been really fun. And my partner and I really hit it off. And again, the benefit of being able to leverage his experience. He has great relationships with property managers, contractors, brokers in the market. And me having some real estate experience too on the transaction side and brokerage. I've have a really big network and contacts that I know. So I was able to help with a good chunk of the capital and also the investor management software side. So I set up the whole Syndication Pro and went through all the onboarding and the, executing the PPM with everybody. So, we both have our different hats, kind of in the beginning, we wear, the hat of every role, but just to try to get it done and figure it out. But, as you streamline your systems and processes, we're sure it's just going to get more and more efficient.
How did you not listen to your limiting beliefs, which I'm sure you had when it comes to raising $3 million right out the gate?
Say that again. Had I not listened to it?
Like, how did you fight back? I'm sure the nervousness, the fear of it's not like you're raising $100K. You went for $3 million right out the gate. So
right.
how did you talk yourself into that? Is it because you were a multifamily broker and you've kind of seen that game, or would you just lean into the partnership?
A lot of it, I leaned on the partnership, but also just my positive reinforcement in the business model. He executed this exact same strategy on another asset that he bought in December of 2019, which he's already got fully repositioned and turned around, and he's about to sell it for twice what he paid for it in under 2 years. So they're considering exiting the investment early. So it's a high level class A reposition, top finishes, getting way higher rents than even the property manager projected. And the rents have even drastically increased since 2019. So I had a lot of confidence, not only just in him, but in the business plan, because he's executing on it. So yeah, it was definitely a big raise, and it was not easy for sure, but you have to do in order to learn. You can't just sit on the sidelines. And I guess we just had to figure it out as we went. And for me, it was a stressful process, but my partner told me, he said, you thought this one was hard. It was twice as easy as the first one that I did. I didn't have a syndication pro portal. We were scrambling to get documents. We were, at the day before closing, trying to scramble to get 500K. He said, so if you thought this was hard, it's just going to get easier. This was his second one, and a lot easier for him on this time around.
Yeah, and I think ultimately at the end of the day, you don't have to reinvent the wheel if somebody's already walked the path for you. Mm-hmm. And you kind of have to believe in yourself, but also in the process that's already been shown to you, and kind of just duplicate that over and over again. And as you redefine everything, it's going to get easier and easier.
Right. Absolutely.
So what was easier than you thought before you started the process of the first one, and what was harder than you thought?
Easier than I thought. After closing, getting the deal and getting it done was easier than I thought. It was not easy, not to sugarcoat anything. It was definitely hard. The harder part for me, which I think a lot of newer investors experience too, was actually raising the capital. Like, just because you have a big network and a lot of people and you've helped investors buy and sell real estate, the hardest part for me was actually my closer circle of family and friends, mm-hmm. which the people that love and trust you the most, but you're new into this. I mean, I thought it would just be, money in the bank, just to, I have this cousin or this friend or that friend or this investor that I've worked with. And, a lot of people are interested, but a lot of people want to see proof of concept too, before they, put their money with you. Mm-hmm. Especially close friends and family. It's even, I would argue, even harder than accredited savvy investors, which are the people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis on the brokerage side. But they're just, they're experienced, they're savvy, they know the deal, they know the market. You give them the numbers, you hit them with the bullet points. I mean, it's a lot easier than some of your closest friends and family. For me, that was more of an obstacle than I imagined.
Yeah, I've heard that a couple of times. So it's definitely something to be interested in. And ultimately, I think at the end of the day is that if the numbers make sense and the execution is there, then you can, over time, as you do it over and over again, those processes become easier for people to give you money. When you show, especially in the multifamily space, when you show that you can close and execute, the deals start coming to you, not the other way around.
Right. And the capital too. Even since closing this first one, my mom has some of her friends and some people, friends and long lost cousins that she's talked to, and, he should talk to this person or that person. And so I've had several calls just from, close friends and family telling other people about what it is, and myself included, that have reached out and been like, oh, that's really cool. Tell me more about it. And do you have a website? And, how, all that kind of stuff. And it's just, it's all building the process.
But isn't that a metaphor for life though? Isn't that everything? Yeah. Like, you have more credibility with yourself when you show up for yourself. You have more credibility when you do your daily habits, and people, let me tell you something, people are paying attention, even if you don't think they're paying attention. Mm-hmm. And the consistency that you show up with in your life is really going to dictate other aspects of your life and create. And I would imagine that's something that you've had to learn as a new father, right? Like, the whole schedule gets thrown to the wayside. I'm sure there's a lot of learning curves when it comes to doing what you need to in your business, correct?
Absolutely. It's so true, because all of a sudden, until you actually do it and start achieving some of your goals, you doubt yourself and you have those limiting beliefs. And then all of a sudden it happens and you're like, okay, well, what's next? But you still have to celebrate some of those wins and realize that you're actually, going for and crossing things off your list that you never thought you could do.
That's awesome. So what advice would you give to anybody that's in the process of going to have a kid, or down the road they're going to have a kid, when it comes to trying to run a business and trying to grow a portfolio and be a dad and be present? What advice would you give to them?
Time management and proper planning is definitely important and key. However, sometimes you just have to do it. Life just throws shit in your face and you have to figure it out. And you're never going to be as ready as you want in regards to having children. And, but for us, we wanted children, and we just decided, let's just do it right now. When's better than now? I mean, yeah, we could wait and we could say, oh, let's wait till we have $1 million. Let's wait till we have investments and a certain amount of passive income, et cetera. But why? I mean, you got to enjoy the ride, enjoy the process, and we're not getting any younger in all aspects of our life. So I'd say just go for it. I mean, that sounds cliche, but no matter what it is, I mean, don't doubt yourself, and you can always combat those limiting beliefs.
What's the long-term vision for you? Is to be a full-time investor? Or do you enjoy multifamily brokerage, and what's kind of as you're seeing it?
Yeah. The longer-term goal, I'm shooting for the mid to end of 2023, but I'd like to transition full-time from brokerage into multifamily syndication owner and operator for sure.
What aspect of that is more attractive to you than what you're doing currently?
Equity, transactions versus equity. So building that savings account, building that in real estate, I consider savings account as being buildings. So being able to pass that along to generations and set up my son and, my future next kid, if we have one, for an incredible opportunity at life, whether or not they want to step in my footsteps and go into real estate, that's neither here nor there, but I want to be able to create passive income that allows me to enjoy time doing the things I love with the people I love, and being able to pass that along for generations. So that's, that's my why. It's just, time is the most invaluable, irreplaceable asset of all. And brokerage, yeah, you can, do deals and make money, and it's great, but I want equity in property to scale long-term and to sustain long-term.
What advice would you give to any real estate agent that's doing residential that maybe wants to transfer into multifamily?
One thing I wish I did, my wife and I bought our first place earlier in 2020, right around when COVID started, but because I had some residential experience too, I think some people might argue this, but you can definitely, like we, went for our first syndication, was a 28 unit deal, but you can also, from the residential side, I really would start with house hacking something. I think it's a great way to learn ownership and operating, and at a small scale too, yet so many of those components apply to the bigger scale operations and deals. So I would think, well, if you already own your place, or if you're renting and you're fine with that, whatever. But I think that's a good opportunity for someone that's in residential, is to look into house hacking a duplex or even buying a duplex. But there's ways to get started small and to scale from that side.
Because it's not so much, the house hacking is a great way to get started, but it's the things that people don't see, right? When you're scaling up, because you have house hacked, because you live there, because you saw it firsthand, you'll make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of down the road, right? Because you know how something's done. And I think everybody's so quick to scale, but understand that those formative years, those first couple purchases, are really what teaches you, right? If somebody came to you and they said, hey, it's going to be $15,000 for an AC, and you're like, wait, that shit doesn't sound right. Like, maybe you just spend the money you don't like. I had a guy do that to me, and I called my brother-in-law and I was like, this doesn't feel right. And he's like, no, it's like way off. And like, so don't discredit the journey to get to where you're going, so whether or not what's going on, Like I think we can leverage almost too much at the beginning, which I respect, but also you need to know the kind of nuts and the bolts of the situation.
Right. And especially if you don't have that experience from the ownership side previously, but if you buy a smaller deal and house hack it or whatever, you're forced to wear all hats right away. I mean, you might not have to, be swinging the hammer and nails, but you might have to also. So you're forced to learn everything as well. Yes, you can bypass that step, which I have and haven't done in some degree, but it's definitely a really good, attractive option to getting into it as well, because you're forced to figure out and learn everything on your own.
So a lot of what you focus on, and especially in the last years, you've been focused on mindset stuff and education on real estate investing and stuff. But what are the tips that you can give to people, that things that you've learned about mindset and personal development?
Well, it's a big aspect and very important to me, because so much of it, even speaking from personal experience, you're just giving it lip service, and it's listening to podcasts and reading books and just thinking that someday I'm going to be rich and it's just going to fall out of the sky and things are going to be easy. And that's just not the reality of life. You have to work and you have to earn it, and you have to learn from people that are already doing what you want to be doing. And so I've read a lot of personal development books and listened to podcasts, but one of my favorite quotes from Jim Rohn is, there's two types of pain. There's the pain of sacrifice, or I've heard it also as the pain of discipline, or the pain of regret. Which will you choose? And I sure don't want to, regret life later on for not pursuing my dreams and goals. And that applies not only to business, but it also applies to productivity and to mindset and staying focused, what you need to be, doing now to get to your goals in the long term, instead of, just, not, and being aloof and not present and just thinking that things are going to happen. I spent so much of my 20s partying and drinking, like a lot of people do, and just thought that, oh yeah, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be doing this, and just belly up at the bar and just partying and thinking that things are going to come easy. But that's just not the case. And I've learned that the hard way too. And something that I'm sure we're probably going to talk about too is that, I'm actually just over 10 months sober. That's something that I decided to do. Whether or not that's forever, I don't know, but I'm taking it, short term, and for my productivity, for my family, for my life. And it's been, aside from investing in myself and getting on, which I don't think I would be taking this multifamily journey and trying to go for these goals and dreams had I not made that decision to stop drinking and get sober back in November of 2020.
No, I'm so proud of you in this journey, and it's one of those things that we connected way previous in the early, when you were just starting out.
Yeah, I'm happy to share that story, but go ahead. Go
ahead before I get going.
So yeah, part of us rescheduling and pushing this stuff back was, yes, some things in life, but also just not being really ready and open and wanting to share about this kind of stuff. But hey, you sharing your post on Facebook in, I think, December of 2020 is what forced me to want to reach out to you, because I was like, wow, this dude is vulnerable, honest, raw. That is a fucking badass post that he just shared. Look at me. I just started getting sober, 3 weeks ago at the time, coming up on a year here pretty shortly, hopefully by the time this airs. But we met. So I went to Austin in October of 2020 for my very first Jake and Gino event. I was super excited. First time getting to meet everyone, get in Friday, start, go out to some restaurants and bars and networking with people and having beers and having a good time. And it progressed into the night. And you and I think we're already Facebook friends at the time, but someone had mentioned, oh, hey, Austin Linney lives here too. He's going to come meet up with us. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I vaguely remember, but we were in between going from one bar to another. And it didn't really resonate with me until I saw your Facebook post later. But you said something to the effect, because again, I was pretty schlitzed at that point, but I'm like, hey, Austin, so nice to meet you. Let's go and let's have a beer. And I don't know if you said, I don't do that anymore, or you said something that just shut me down abruptly. And you don't think about those kind of responses unless there's something going on with you internally. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't until you shared that Facebook post that I was like, oh man, I totally get it now. And, I really respect that. And I look up to people that make those kind of changes. It's fucking badass. And I've told myself over the years of, having some negative relationship issues with alcohol that, oh, I'm going to stop for a year, or I'm going to do this or that. And like I said, just life flies by. And if you don't make the changes, things don't happen. And so I was like, you know what, for my family, for my, at the time, 3-month-old son, for my wife, for this business endeavor that I'm going on right now, like I need to be the most clear-minded and ambitious, driven, focused dude. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to give up drinking. Again, the pain of sacrifice or discipline, or the pain of regret. I'm going to give it up. Again, whether that's not forever or not, I don't look at it that way for now. I look at it as I'm being productive. I'm being a better husband, father, man, entrepreneur. And I don't give a shit what anyone thinks about it. So that's a change that I needed and wanted to make. And I'm proud of it, I guess.
I'm proud of you. John, I want to share something with you that I haven't shared with anybody. And I'll credit my girlfriend for this. So every time, and this is a lesson to everybody that's listening, and I want everybody to perk up their fucking ears, because this is important. Because you just shared that story, I'm going to share this. Every time I told myself that I didn't want to go to something, or I didn't want to show up for something, something good has come of it. So just so you're clear, Lee Ford reached out to me the day before. We had just moved back to Austin. I was exhausted. And I said, I'm not going to this fucking meetup. And my girlfriend said, you need to go. I don't know what's going to happen, but just show up, and you never know what'll happen. So I drove 45 minutes in. From that meeting, I met you, and I have 2 coaching clients that I'm affecting their life, all from that one thing. Wow. Can you imagine if I didn't go, if I wouldn't have said that comment to you? And you would have changed no matter what. But what I'm saying is, understand that the reason I share my story so openly is the fact that I want to give everybody the freedom to share their story, right? Because when we're in the despair and the alcoholism or the drug addiction, we feel like we're the only one living it. And it's not until somebody shows you, no. This guy went through it too. I can do that too. And look at what's happened. And there's no chance, maybe, but I doubt it. There's no chance that you would be having the success that you're having now if you wouldn't have slayed that demon. 10 months ago.
That's undeniable. No doubt about it. I know that for sure. And I'm not some uber successful multifamily investor yet, but I don't have 10,000 units. I closed a syndication, and my partner and I have a couple underway, but I'm making some big changes in my life. And I know that I wouldn't have even joined Jake and Gino. I mean, I probably would have joined, because I did join before I made that choice, but that's been something that's going back and forth in my head for a long time. And you also said something on a podcast. Maybe you can correct me if I don't say it right, but something about I don't remember if you were at a networking event, or someone asked you if you were at a networking event with a bunch of billionaires and they were to ask you, what is the biggest thing in your life slowing you down, or correct me. You told that, but
it was a coaching call that I paid for 2 calls with my mentor now, that I didn't have the money for, that I put on a credit card. And I booked it at like 1 a.m. when I was like at my lowest of lows. And at the end of the second call, he said, if you were in a room 10 years from now with a group of billionaires and you deserve to be there, what is the one thing holding you back? And without flinching, some reason, my subconscious said alcohol. Mm-hmm. And that was the seed. That was the seed that planted and really created this shift that you're seeing currently.
And that's me too. Like, without hesitation, I was like, that's me. Boom. I feel the same way. I've always felt that same way. Yeah. I mean, I graduated school. I was pretty complacent, had decent jobs, worked in the restaurant industry, went into management. It wasn't just like total catastrophe. However, because when someone asks you that, oh, why'd you stop drinking? It's with the assumption that there's some catastrophic event, and for me, it's nothing, which is exactly the problem. Nothing good was happening. So it wasn't anything necessarily catastrophically bad at one time or instance, but the problem is I wasn't progressing myself further to where I needed and wanted to be. And my biggest fear in life is not living up to my potential as a man and a husband and a father and an entrepreneur. Yeah, that pain of regret, I don't ever want to have that. And if that's something I can give up that can get me to a better place all around in every aspect of my life and help me achieve those goals and dreams, then fuck it. That's what needs to be done.
It's really interesting. you have a choice. It's simple as that. You can sit on the couch, watch Netflix all day, drink beer all day, whatever. That's your fucking prerogative. I don't give a shit. But if you believe that in your heart there's something more there, or I deserve more, or I need to be better for my family, you have to ask yourself the question, what are the aspects of my life that are holding me back, that aren't serving me anymore? And when you can own those and you can address those, then you can shift your entire world. Because here's the screwed up thing is when you get sober and you start feeling so good, you're like, fuck, I should be farther along. But then when you look at the scale between living your life the wrong way and living your life the right way, I've got 2 years and 8 months and about 25 years the other way. So can you imagine the trajectory on my life when I'm living 25 the right way, right, and how much I'm going to create, right? And like you feel like you're shot out of a cannon. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's exactly how I feel. I mean, that time when I was in Austin and for that first Jake and Gino event, I mean, yeah, again, it's not like something crazy catastrophic happened, but I wasn't, really taking advantage of what I was there to do. So I got drunk the night before, went out, took shots, barely remember meeting you, like might have been an asshole, might not have been an asshole, don't really know. Woke up the next morning, I was like, I think 30 or 45 minutes late to the Jake and Gino event because I almost went to the wrong hotel when the event was at the same hotel that I was goddamn staying at, which was just embarrassing as it is. But again, I'm at a spot now where I don't care to share that stuff. And if it helps anyone out, great. I mean, I'm 10 and a half months sober now. And, I set that goal of a year, but I want to keep going. Like it's something that I really enjoy. And I've really been able to dig deep and uncover a lot of stuff about myself that is pretty powerful. And, without that clouding me, it's been a game changer for sure.
What advice would you give to anybody that is thinking about it, or they're kind of feeling stuck? What advice would you give to them?
It's hard to really give advice.
Okay, I got
on a general level.
I got a better question. What would you tell yourself 11 months ago? That guy. What would you tell that guy?
Well, it's the same realization that I had just over 11 months ago, that you need to stop drinking or you're not going to get where you want to go. I mean, that was it for me. That's not for everyone at all. I mean, I still love to drink. I just don't do it. And I totally love and respect people that do it and do it in a responsible way, whatever. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't affect everyone the same way, but I knew for me that was hindering me and slowing me down. So there's no doubt in my mind. I'm just like, you need to do this. Like you've talked about it before. You've had, DUI when you were younger, and you've had some issues and some, struggles. And the biggest thing is for me was not just being trapped in complacency and mediocrity. That's what fucking scares me the most. Again, it's not like something crazy happened. The problem is nothing crazy good happened. So I was like, it's time to give it up. And I can't say to anyone else in this world, you need to do that. But I can tell you my story. I can share what it's done for me. If you want to call me, let's talk about it. But I would never, tell someone that's a change they need to make. Cause again, I totally respect people that do that. I know that's not what you're asking, but
no, you're good. Because at the end of the day, you're grown adults. You can do whatever the hell you want to go do. I don't really care. But if you want to talk about it, or you want to explore it and you think there's a better way, then let's have a discussion. Right. And let's have an open conversation. Right. It's interesting. I interviewed a guy yesterday, and what's interesting? The thing that's not talked about at all is bankruptcy. Right. And I couldn't tell you how many clients I have that 10 years ago, they filed for bankruptcy and they're millionaires now, but it's still affecting them. Right. Because it's that taboo shit. Well, guess what? This is a true story, bro. I told you this when we met in San Diego. That guy that I rented the place from was addicted to heroin. He beat that. And he said he had more respect for us beating alcohol because it's everywhere, because it's so socially acceptable. Right. And so that's something to think about, right? How free, and like, what do you do on Sunday? I watch football all day and I fucking pound a fucking case of beer, and then I'm feeling like shit on Monday, and I'm wondering why I'm not where I need to be. Well, yeah, dude, like here's the deal. I was a bartender for too long. I much rather enjoy the sunrises than the sunsets this day and age, and you got a 1-year-old. So I'm sure it's basically, I have to operate when he operates, but we've done it. I've had fun. I'm good because now I'm trying to create wealth, create jobs, create, movement for me and growth. And that just excites me way more than anything that I think I'm missing out on, which I could give two shits about.
Right. I feel exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot funner to have conversations at 5 a.m. with my homeboys than it is at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. It's also a lot better to wake up at 6 or 5 or whatever it is with a 1-year-old when you're not hungover.
That's for sure. So if people want to follow your journey, they want to find out what you got going on, how would they do that?
You can follow me on Instagram, Stark Nation, or my business at stark.capital. Working on website development right now. It's been a long, ongoing journey, but I'm really focused on the aesthetics, to say the least. And so I'm just really trying to tighten it up before I launch it out. But yeah, so Instagram at Stark Nation or at stark.capital. Or you can give me a call on my cell phone, 858-525-2446. I always love chatting, no matter what it's about, real estate, anything.
John, I really appreciate you being open to share your story. Thank you so much, guys. If you got some value from this, reach out to John, share it with your friends, send it around. Thank you all so much.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.